Hey everybody, this is GGB co-host Poppers. Today we're going to be getting into the Bengals Redskins game. Let's go! Doing that analysis. I'm doing that one for the first week 2 game, simply because my dad is a Redskins fan, so we watched it out. We watched this one first of all the week 2 games, and then number 2, the Redskins ones seem to get the most views, so why not do the ones that get the most views? So let's get into the winners and losers from this Redskins-Bengals game. And I'm just got to say right off the bat, a winner, I mean, it's got to be at the quarterback position, Taylor Heinicke. Taylor Heinicke went 11-13, threw for 80 yards, and he looked impressive. Also, look at his rushing stats. He had 4 rushes for 26 yards. So he looked good really all around. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a guy I'm a little bit more worried about as this preseason goes along because he has not seemed to have it together yet. Taylor Heinicke has actually looked really good in my opinion. I think if he keeps playing this well, who knows? He might be able to steal the starting job away from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Taylor Heinicke is lighting it up at the moment. But then I think everyone just has to acknowledge the absolute legitimacy of that Jarrett Patterson is. He is so good, guys. He had 16 rushes today for 71 yards, a touchdown, not to mention he had 3 catches for 25 yards, adding up into about 96 all-purpose yards. This is an undrafted kid out of Buffalo, guys. And it was a guy I was really high on. I feel like most people who actually know college football, that watch it, know all the players in the draft, knew about Jarrett Patterson, knew how good he had the potential of being. But the idiots on ESPN, and honestly, of a lot of these NFL teams, didn't even see that potential, and the Redskins are taking advantage of that right now. Jarrett Patterson was so high on my list, and he is absolutely proving me right here. He was a winner today, not only because he produced so highly, but also because, listen, guys, I've been saying this for a long time. I thought he was the fourth or third best running back on this roster. Obviously, the Redskins agree with me. And the reason, major part he's a winner today, he was the third running back into the game, guys. He was, obviously, Gibson was 1, J.D. McKissick was 2, Jarrett Patterson was 3. He was in the game before Peyton Barber. That is a great sign for Jarrett to make this roster. Another winners, I got to go to the Cincinnati rushing game. Jacques Patrick had 6 carries for 42 yards, averaged 7 yards a carry, and Chris Evans had 9 carries for 35 yards, averaged 3.9 yards per carry. And I mention that because they both look, if you go back and watch that game, they both look extremely solid running the ball. And honestly, are we sold that Trevion Williams should be the guy? Because honestly, the 6th-round pick out of Texas A&M, I don't know that much about. And honestly, he hasn't done anything in the preseason. He had no carries this game. I don't think he had any carries last game, so it's making me worried for this guy. He's not going to make the roster, in my opinion. Chris Evans and Jacques Patrick have both looked extremely good as the 3rd and 4th options on this team. I'm just saying they should make the roster. They should. They really should. They've looked great so far in the preseason. Receiver-wise, a couple receivers I'd like to mention right off the bat. A winner today is Antonio Gandy-Golden. Antonio Gandy-Golden was a guy I was looking at as a loser last week. I believe I listed him as a loser because he didn't see the field almost at all. It was at the very end of the game he actually got to see some playing time, and I thought that might be a sign that AGG's not on this roster. But Antonio Gandy-Golden ended up having 3 catches for 38 yards, right? He was only targeted 3 times, so he caught every single pass he was targeted. He averaged 12.7 yards per carry. Per catch, he had a long of 17 yards, and he did end up getting a 2-point conversion. 38 yards is the most of all receivers. He had the highest receiving total for both teams. He had 3 catches, which is only 2 other players on both teams matched that. Jarrett Patterson had 3 catches, and Mike Thomas, not the Michael Thomas everyone knows and loves, but the Mike Thomas on Cincinnati's team from the College of DuPage, Illinois. He was a 2016 6th-round pick from the Rams. But honestly, I've got to list AGG as a winner here. And then you have to list Auden Tate. Auden Tate was a guy that only had 2 catches for 23 yards. Not some great stats, but you go back and watch both those catches. One of them, he was very much being interfered with from Troy Apke and ended up making a hell of a catch. And then the second one, he got hit immediately as soon as he caught the ball from Troy Apke, and he still ended up being able to catch that ball. So Auden Tate is a guy I have trending upwards as this thing goes along. A guy I've been thinking probably the number 4 option for this team. He's looked very good so far, in my opinion. Great option. He's looked phenomenal here so far. No really defensive player popped out to me. Obviously, the Redskins defense did very good. Like the first half, I think they only had 2. The Bengals only had like 2 first downs or something crazy like that. But like, no one had any crazy stats. Apke had an up and down day, which is what you need to make the roster is a better day if you're Troy Apke. But no one really, in my opinion, like looked amazing. No one popped out to me on the defensive side of things. And a winner I got a list is Dustin Hopkins. Oh, I'll also mention for Jarrett Patterson, I had 1 return for 37 yards. That's a pretty good return. So if you're going to go with a player that you want just for special teams, I feel like Jarrett Patterson can serve a role on both offense and on special teams. So I think that could save them a spot right there if they just take Jarrett Patterson. They don't have to keep a guy like DeAndre Carter or Steven Sims Jr. or Danny Johnson. You know what I mean? You don't have to keep a guy like that if you have this guy on your roster. Now, Dustin Hopkins is a guy I had winning tonight because last week I had him as a loser because he did very poorly in the kicking game. I think the kicking thing has gotten better with, I think Cheeseman, Tressway, and Dustin Hopkins have both got onto a better page. That's why the kicking game got better when he went for 3 for 3 for 9 points. And again, without him, they probably only have 8 points and lose this game. So again, Dustin Hopkins is a huge reason why they ended up winning this game. So props to Dustin Hopkins for fixing that part of his fixing instead of being unreliable, and he actually worked on it with the special teams, to give him props for that. Losers. I got to just mention the Bengals. The Bengals are a loser in the passing game, right? Because right now, I think we know what Brandon Allen is. I think at this point we know what Brandon Allen is. He's a decent backup. He can win you a couple games. You look at I think he won the Texans game. He's decent enough. He can do it. Now, on the other hand, you look at Kyle Shermer. He went 4 of 4 for 23 yards. I don't think he looked very good. I honestly don't think Kyle Shermer is a very good passing QB. There's a reason why he's hopped from team to team at this point in his career. He is not very old, and he is barely hanging on in the NFL. That means you're not a very good quarterback, in my opinion. And then Eric Dungy. Eric Dungy was a guy I honestly had never heard of before tonight. Well, now that I know him, oh yeah, I remember him at Syracuse. I don't know that much about him. I didn't even know he was on the roster. He didn't play last week. So he's probably the number 4 QB on this team, if we're going to be honest. And that's just not good. He went 3 of 6 for 14 yards. It was bad, guys. It was pretty bad. My opinion, it was bad. The passing was bad today for Cincinnati. Another loser I have is Ryan Fitzpatrick, simply because Ryan Fitzpatrick should be running away with the job at this point. I think Heineke is hanging in there. I think if he's able to wow in the 3rd preseason game, he should have this job all locked up. But in my opinion, he's a loser tonight. Other losers. I gotta say Peyton Barber was a loser tonight, because if you're Peyton Barber, you need to make an impression to make sure that you stay on this team. And he had 3 carries for 2 yards, so he averaged 0.7 yards per carry. He had 1 catch for 2 yards. So not showing exactly why you should be on this roster. Now, I do think Peyton Barber will end up being on the 53-man roster, but this performance definitely did not help that. Another loser I had today was Adam Humphries. Adam Humphries is a guy that is going to be on the 53-man roster. I'm almost positive of it. And he showed last week he had a very good connection with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but him and Ryan Fitzpatrick were very off today. They were both thinking very different things, and Adam Humphrey needs to play better if he wants to be a starting player on this team, because if you look at this receiving core, behind him you still have Cam Sims, De'Ami Brown, and AGG are probably the 3 players behind him, and they both all want to see the field. They're all and Cam Sims was good last year. De'Ami Brown has a chance to be really good, and AGG also. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how this works out, but Adam Humphries needs to play better if he wants to make this roster. And then another player I had losing tonight is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, if you did not know, 3 drops. 3 drops today. Or, I guess, 2 or 3 days ago now. Jamar Chase did not wow. Jamar Chase was not the player we all expect him to be. Now, can he be that in the regular season? Probably. He's probably going to be phenomenal in the regular season. This isn't a whole lot to worry about. But, again, 3 drops, 0 catches, 0 yards. That's not great if you're Jamar Chase and trying to make this roster. My opinion, huge loser tonight is Jamar Chase. But hey, everybody, thanks for watching. This is GGB Carlos Pepper saying adios, amigos.